How many of you here have bad habits that you want to get rid of, or want to start a new habit like reading a book, exercising, or say eating healthy food? Great. The reason why most people fail with their habits is probably because they think it's all about willpower without understanding the nature of habit and how it works. Habits are very powerful. Sometimes it's very destructive. Like for instance, habitually using mobile phones, eating junk food, smoking, or worse, drinking. Now, the thing about habits is, if you know how to overcome these, or if you understand the nature of the habit, you can overcome and you can succeed. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and friends. So, habits are the choices that we continuously make without thinking. You may think that you are making decisions all the time, but 40 to 45% of the decisions that you make are habits-led. So, if you go to the habit, right, it's a 3-step process. So it's got a cue, a routine, and a reward. What is known as the habit loop. The cue is actually the trigger which actually tells the brain which habit to use and say puts it into an automatic mode. The routine is the act of the habit. This can be physical, mental, or emotional. And the reward is the result of the routine, what reinforces the habit. So the researchers at MIT, right, they actually conducted a very simple experiment to explain this habit loop. And they did it with a rat with sensors put in its brain. So if you put a rat, let's say you put a rabbit in a maze, right, and at the end of the maze you have chocolate as a reward. So when you release a rabbit into the maze and you produce a click sound, it actually opens a partition. The rat moves into the maze and tries to look for the chocolate. Initially, when the rat tries to find its way through the maze, sniffing, right, it takes a lot of time for it to reach through the maze. But then when you start repeating the experiment, right, again and again, over a period of time, a habit is formed in the rat, and what it does is, as soon as it hears the click, it automatically goes and looks for the reward. So because of the habit which is formed, the cue actually over here is a click, right? And routine is navigating through the maze, and the reward is a chocolate, right? But the researchers also observed that when the rabbit was doing its routine, the activity of its brain reduced drastically, primarily because brain tries to automate things always in order to save effort, so that effort is actually spent on something more complex or in creating new things. But without these habit loops, right, it becomes really difficult for us to take decisions, do routine activities, right, so that we spend a lot of energy and it results in us spending a lot of time in thinking what needs to be done next. So a few examples of habit, like what you do automatically, like getting up in the morning. Cue is bad breath. What you do, you take up the brush, you brush your teeth, and then the reward is clean teeth or the tingling sensation that you get in your mouth. Similarly, when one of your friends, right, tells you, hey, you know what, you're looking really fat, what you do, okay, fine, you think that, oh, I'm not looking really good, you start exercising. That is the routine that you get into, and the reward is healthy body and a fit physique. Now craving, another important component of having is craving. So craving is nothing but the reward. I mean, once you encounter the cue, right, you tend to think of the reward. That is craving without actually getting the reward. So this actually pushes you to do the routine. Like for instance, the cue over here is you're really stressed out and you want to relax, right? And the routine is you take 2 drinks, you take 2 alcohol. Right? And the reward is your mind is free. You're not able to feel stress anymore. So, and the other example that I've given is that of fast food. You pass through McDonald's and then you get the craving, right, to eat the fast food. And then you ultimately end up in the restaurant and then you crave more and more of that fast food. So you consciously can avoid craving when you understand how to form, say, new habits. So if you want to form a new habit, set up a simple cue and a simple reward. Like for instance, if you want to say start a routine like exercising, right? Set up a simple cue. The simple cue would be placing your shoes right next to your bed, and the reward would be a snack after the end of your run, right? And when you say fix the cue and the reward, you try to mentally crave for the reward when you encounter the cue. The other example that I have quoted over here is to force your children into studying. How do you get the habit of children? How do you get the habit or the routine of, say, focusing on studying in your children? Now, how to get rid of old habits? How many of you have heard the phrase old habits die hard? So it's very, very difficult for you to get rid of your old habits. In fact, what they say is, the golden rule of habit change is you can never extinguish your bad habits. You can only change it. First, what you need to do is identify the triggers which actually pushes you to your habits. Then, understand the routine and the reward. Why is that you get? And think deeply, what is the burning desire for you to continue that habit? Right? And then, during introspection, you'll get a lot of cues through which you can change your habits. Like for instance, say, as I pointed out earlier, you're really stressed out and you're craving for alcohol, and the reward is you are happy, right? And say instead of say going for the routine of say going to a bar or having the alcohol, try talking to your friends, try talking to a counselor, try talking to your mentor who will be able to give you that mental relief, right? So that you get out of that routine of say drinking. And the last and the most important component, right, of habit is belief. Believe in yourself and believe in your ability to make the change step by step. I would like to conclude by giving a quote by Charles Duhigg, who wrote the book The Power of Habit. The difference between who you are and what you want to be is what you do. Thank you.